Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back with Survivor Guatemala episodes 10 through 12 recap. Before we even get into this, for anybody watching, I am severely sunburned. I will not comment on it again after this. For anybody who's going to say, Phil, you look mighty red tonight, keep your jokes to yourself. Let's talk about Survivor Guatemala instead. It was just 4th of July, right?
I actually can't even tell that you're sunburned because your video is coming in so poorly.
Oh, really? That's good because I am bright red. Like bright.
It's almost as if you've been hanging out with the cast of Survivor Guatemala because right now their skin is peeling off of their shoulders.
Today somebody told me, because today I was pretty much my first day at a new job, and one of the people told me, wow, Phil, you're really shedding your skin here, because I was literally peeling in the middle of the office. It was disgusting. So now that we got all this, now that
Kids,
we're really talking about
if you want to give off a first good impression at your new job, here's what you should do.
Yeah. Enjoy 4th of July and then completely just peel all over everybody.
I mean, at least you didn't blow off one of your fingers with a firework.
Well, hey, not all of us can be NFL linemen, right? Okay.
Okay, here we go. Survivor Guatemala.
Survivor Guatemala. So we finally see... So Jamie goes home in episode 10 here, which is always a wonderful, wonderful episode. When Gary doesn't win immunity here, doesn't even make it to the final stage, which we were talking about the stage challenges last week. This is why they don't do the stage challenges, because had this been a different situation, Gary probably goes home and doesn't even have a chance to win at the end here, which would drive Survivor nuts. They definitely don't want that.
No, can't have that. And he's lucky that Jamie, in a sense, kind of like just slowly imploded his own game. And it helped that he was super likable. He went on that reward with Judd, Stephanie, and Danny. And Jamie dug his own grave there.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie's obnoxious this entire time. And like everybody keeps saying, he's losing his mind, he's losing his mind, he's losing his mind. Like he really is losing his mind. And I always find it interesting that Gary, Danny, Steph, and Judd go on this reward and they don't end up being the final four. Because that should have been the final four from this season, the way that they shaped up here. Steph and Judd, very close. Danny and Gary, very close. And then Gary and Steph were close before all of this. And, like, so, like, you would think that, like, for people who don't really like Cindy, who don't really like Lydia at all, as they're making very, very clear, you would think that this would be the final four because nobody wants to sit next to Rafe at the end. And then Jamie, nobody can stand. So they get rid of Jamie, and you would think, like, why not just make this the final four? You're not going to beat Gary, but you got to be thinking if you're Steph or Judd, you can beat the other one. You're not thinking you can beat Gary, obviously. But, I mean, Gary and Danny, I think, played this really well. This is where I think Danny like, really shines here. And Gary, too. I mean, Steph calls him, he's a smooth operator. Like, the thing with Gary is so many people say that Gary's a boring character. I love Gary, and I think what makes Gary so great is that he's just calm and monotone the whole time, and he's very just – you start to enjoy that on a season full of crazies, and that kind of makes it hard for people to really, like, give a good reason to get rid of him. You had to get rid of him because he was likable. Even when he's yelling at Judd in his boot episode, he's still like, that's not what I said at all. That's not – like, still very calm.
That's the thing. He's not a yeller. He's a very reasonable guy, and – like we said, like when we were talking to Troyzan, he couldn't even name Gary. He was like, oh, the football player guy. So, like you said, it's the way he speaks. It's the way he gives his confessionals. It's kind of like what people were saying about Sarah this past season. He may not give the most exciting confessionals, but he's the underdog you're pulling for, and he's really smart. He's very well liked. He's a really good player, and he hung on for longer than he had business hanging on. So. He turned out to be a really great character, and on my first go around, I really wasn't very interested in him because I thought I don't know, I didn't think he was very exciting. And it's kind of the same mindset why I think a lot of people really, really love Rafe is because he's a likable guy in an alliance of a lot of insanity. So the bar's been set kind of low. Obviously, I really like Rafe, but when Judd and Stephanie are the leaders of your alliance, people are really going to fall back and love Rafe.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the reason – I think I texted you after the Gary boot, and I think, like, yeah, it's only the final 6. And, like, this season is better than I remember, and it will move up in my rankings for sure. Mm-hmm. But my biggest problem is that after Gary goes, this season takes a hit because all of a sudden you're supposed to root for Danny. which becomes very difficult because up until this point, we haven't really been rooting for Danny. Danny was always kind of like the Sally of this group, where it's like, yeah, she's there. She's like interesting. She's saying something every now and then, but she's not doing anything too crazy. Like, you're not sitting there saying, I hope Danny wins this. She's not the one who played the idol. She's not the one who's really shown wheeling and dealing the entire time like Gary is. So it's hard to just shift that perspective where it's like, oh, now Danny's the underdog. Her winner's edit obviously picks up right after that because this is when it kicks in. It's like a very Jenna Maraska edit where it comes out of nowhere and you're like, oh my God, she's going to win this game. But it's hard when you were just rooting for the rest of her alliance more than you were rooting for her.
And I think it was in the first episode 10, that when you listen to the recap, like Jeff's recap right before they go into the episode, they mention, oh, Bobby John, Brandon, Gary, they're on the bottom. And he doesn't even mention Danny. And I don't think that's a shot at Danny, but I think that says a lot about how Danny was kind of regarded from the viewer's perspective as the one who was there with them who didn't get voted out yet.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's exactly what you're watching it as. And that's what makes it so difficult. But here you go, you get to this point where you lose this 3 episode span. Other than Steph, you probably lose the 3 biggest characters in the show up until this point, because you lose Jamie, who's the big villain. You lose Gary, who is really the hero up until this point. And then you lose Judd, who's kind of the all over the place guy who some people love and some people hate. Rafe, at this point, I feel like, yeah, he was picking up. We get a lot of him winning the immunity challenges, which is always impressive, which I think is so interesting. Because here's a guy who you would never in a million years think he would win. Does he win 3 out of the first 4 and he won the other one? Like, does he win 4 out of 5 immunities up until that point?
Well, at one point, he won like 3 in a row, I think.
I know he wins 3 post-merge, right? Because I know he wins the one that's like pre-merge where like he saves himself, which I count as an individual immunity. Does he then go on to win 3 after the merge too?
I think he does, because he had a whole confessional saying, you know, like, who would have ever thought like the scrawny gay guy was going to be the shining beacon of athleticism? Like, he's like, I can't believe I'm doing it. Yeah,
exactly. And if you think about it, he lost to Jamie in that one challenge because it was that rope at the end, but he was right in it until then. He was in the final 2. So like Rafe's actually like kind of like a little bit of like a surprisingly physical threat. The problem is like Rafe, as likable and everything as he is, his story was always kind of like, I don't want to be in the bad guy alliance, but he's always in the bad guy alliance. So you're not looking at him as your hero yet. And really, right. I think it is when Judd's boot episode, when it starts to be like, okay, Rafe and Danny, these are the 2 that we're rooting for at this point.
Right. Well, that's during we're going all over the place here, but I think it was during the family reward, Rafe and Danny. That was when Rafe was saying, okay, I got to weigh my options. I got to try something different now. And that's the first sign of an interaction that you see between those 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that family visit was interesting because Judd pretty much did what he had to do, where he took Cindy, and then he goes and he takes Steph, which I think is so funny that Steph's there with her boyfriend of 7 years. Then she becomes a little famous, and now Steph's married to some Phillies player. So, hey, Steph, what's going on here?
Is she really married to a Phillies player?
He was. I think, isn't she married to Cole Hamels?
No, that's Heidi.
She's married to a Phillies player. Somebody look it up. Somebody knows.
I feel like I should know this. Chat? I feel like this should be on my trivia right now.
I know. Stephanie LaGrossa husband. But anyway, I just thought that was funny because it's like Kyle Kendrick. There you go.
There we go. Kyle Kendrick. It's pretty cute.
Baseball pitcher. Yeah.
Philadelphia Phillies and the Colorado Rockies.
There you go.
What a guy.
So she gets to live everywhere but New Jersey. But what I think is like very interesting is like that Judd picked her here because he did what he had to do with Cindy. Because Cindy was the one who gave him the money for it. So obviously you have to take Cindy. But if you really think about it, boyfriend, girlfriend, I would never, ever pick that person. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I don't care what alliance you're in. I never pick it. Rafe's looking at his mom, breaking down, crying, doesn't pick his mom. So I would take him over that. Danny, I wouldn't have taken because she didn't seem really to care at all.
Well, Danny was more concerned about her dogs.
Yes. And what was it? That was her brother, right? That was
my gosh, that was so funny. She's like, yeah, I know my family will be fine. I'm more concerned about my 2 boys, and they kept to her dogs.
Yeah, I thought that was great. But wasn't that her brother who was actually there? He just looked like kind of like a fatter Rafe. Like he really
Yeah,
did.
I don't know. Yeah, the genetics were a little off there, but yeah, that was her brother. Yeah.
And then who was the other one? And then it was Lydia with her
brother.
With her brother she hadn't seen in 2 years. So I just don't see Judd. I mean, I get it's final 6, so you're just taking 3 people anyway. But I probably wouldn't have taken Steph, although I guess he's just that close with Steph. But at this point, like when you're really in it, like, you know, people's emotions and stuff, I feel like somebody's boyfriend is so much, I'm sorry, but it's just so much less important. Get Rafe on your side, because if Steph betrays you because you didn't pick her to go on the family reward when it's her boyfriend of 7 years who no longer exists, like, come on. I mean, then she just needs to get over herself.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't know that she was going to then go on to marry an ex-Philly/Rockies. We knew she was scouting them out. But
yeah,
I think we go 2 ways here. I think we really underestimate the relationship that Judd and Stephanie have. Obviously, you know that they're allies, but I think they are really close because I think they have relatively similar personalities, which usually either works out really well or doesn't. I think they are really close. But man, you're watching Jeff saying, all right, you can pool your money, but only one person gets it. And Lydia, Jeff even says, Lydia, you haven't seen your brother in 2 years. Like, how's he look? It's all good. He's the last one out. And then Steph's like, give me your money. Give me your money. Like, I need to go see my boyfriend. I'm like, she hasn't seen her brother in 2 years. And the first time she's seen him, she's just staring at him in Survivor.
I'm pretty sure that they knew, like, they were probably going to get to pick someone, and Steph probably had more money than Lydia. My guess would be that the person with more money asked somebody with less money than them for money. So, like, that's why Judd went to Cindy, and that's why Steph went to Lydia, and they probably knew they could pick somebody, and it was like, if I'm giving you the money, you better freaking take me.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we think Steph would have taken Lydia?
Yeah, I do. I think she would have, because Lydia was giving her money. I think she would have taken Lydia and Judd.
I would hope so.
But aside from that, I think Danny is the big winner of this challenge, not just because of the reward, but because she was buying food for so cheap. And I'm going to rattle off some numbers because I actually wrote this down.
Yeah.
She won beef jerky for $20, then didn't change. Okay, that's fine. Cindy then goes on to win cookies for $40, which I was like, what is going on? And then they bring out the mosquito net, and Lydia goes to $140, which just shows how much more important that was than food.
Yeah, I think that mosquito net was. It was like their crocodile enclosure. Like, I think that was probably the most valuable thing next to the advantage on the menu.
Yeah, so she gets the beef jerky, and then she splits with Rafe to get the covered item. She only spends $90. Gets the covered item, which is the steak sandwich, which makes Judd jump through the freaking roof, which is hilarious. But then he gets his loved one, so I'm sure he was over it pretty quickly. And then she gets the immunity advantage. Like, Danny absolutely killed it.
She crushed it. And what's so insane is I know that Danny buys the advantage. Like, I remember that. But I forget that she got beef jerky, which is like a huge source of protein. She then gets a steak sandwich, another huge source of protein, and is able and still has the money to buy an advantage. Now, people are just holding out their money to blow $500 on the potential for an advantage. And Danny's well-fed and gets an advantage. She crushed it.
And that's what ruined this game. Or that's what they start. This is when they start ruining it, because they start putting the advantage in the auction. But people were still like, you know what? I'd rather hold out for something better. And you know what? This is how Survivor can bring the auction back and make it work. They can do it where it's like, okay, here's your loved ones. And then say, oh, and here's an advantage afterwards. So, because if you see the loved ones, are you not going to bid on it? Like, are you crazy? I just belched into the microphone. Hello.
Oh, I thought, oh my gosh, I totally thought you were like saying, you had me fooled.
Oh, well, maybe I was just saying, no, I just totally belched right into the microphone.
Oh, what I was going to say, there's a couple ways to fix it. You put a cover on the advantage. Like, there's a lot. I like choosing between the loved ones. There's a couple ways to fix it, and I freaking love the auction. Like, everyone loves the Survivor auction. There are ways to fix it, and I really, really hope they bring it back.
Well, no, what I love so much about this season so far, at least, I love these little things that they did where they had the people voting for who's the smelliest, who deserves a shower, blah, blah, blah. Then you have the auction where people get to do this. Like, I like these little things where, like, the castaways are interacting. We see it in the reward challenge in Final 7 when they actually do the chop 'em thing, which, you know, was obviously famous for Marquesas when John Carroll's alliance just got cocky. But what's interesting about this is do it for reward, don't do it for immunity, and I have no problem with it. Because this shows you where everybody stands. Let's see it. In Guatemala, this is a strange occurrence where the order that these people went out really had nothing to do with alliances. Because Gary was out, but so were Steph and Judd, which is crazy because in a normal season, Steph and Judd are 2 of the last 4.
Yeah, and in a normal season, Steph and Judd have like an issue with getting shot so early.
Well,
but they
Steph
like,
did.
Yeah, well, Steph also goes on her big reward rant, which was completely valid.
It was completely valid, but Lydia's reasoning was also completely valid. Like, there's no, like, Lydia's saying, like, I wanted to have a chance to win, and you've eaten a lot. So I figured if I'm not going to win, somebody else who hasn't eaten deserves to win. And Steph's such a hothead. It's just, like, in case you didn't learn from the 3 seasons of watching her, she's one of the biggest hotheads that's ever played. But, she's
so funny.
She can't help it. She just goes off. And I love she just keeps repeating herself. And that's the Tom's River, New Jersey thing. That's every woman in my family, that's what they do. They can't just say it once. It's got to be 500 times, but they're just telling you, and they'll stop. But they're going to do it for a half hour. I'm just saying I don't want to hear it anymore.
You also got a reward challenge. I got the overnight, but I'm just saying I did too. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, we could get my whole mom's side of the family, and for a half hour, they would just repeat themselves over and over again, but they'd just be saying. So, I just think like these are interesting like little things that I wish they would bring back because like there's plenty of strategy going on in this season. Yeah, a lot of it's not working, but I think Gary has played such a good game. Even though he only got 7th place, I feel like Gary, if I had to pick one person to come back from the season, it would be Gary. It wouldn't be Rafe. I always said it would be Rafe, it'd be Rafe, it'd be Rafe. It would be Gary. Because I think that Gary now, people would know he's a football player, but he's also like 60 years old. He's older now. It doesn't matter so much that he was a football player because they've had celebrities on there now. He was just the first one at this time, and he plays it so well, and he's such a collected guy. I feel like he's a great strategist that was just kind of ahead of his time, and he really knew how to push people's buttons in this alliance, and it's why Jamie went before him, and really, he might have been a little bit closer had Judd been a little bit more reasonable of a guy. Because at this point, Judd is just in that Shane Powers mindset where it's like, I don't care that I've known you, you know, whatever. I got to get rid of you. I have to stick with the 6. And look what happens to Judd. People see that nowadays. I think Gary does very well.
And what's so funny about Judd going is you kind of know it's like the Judd Boot episode, but he's just sitting there on his perch. He's kind of like hanging out. It's like, hey, better not vote for me. Better not do that. Wouldn't it be funny if you did that? Like, no scrambling because I don't think he knows that he's going home, but this may come as a shock to some people, but he's a smart guy. He kind of knows what he's doing. So I found it odd that he was willing to joke about it, but wasn't going far enough to try to fix it.
Well, and like, really, like Judd is the voice of reason in these 3 episodes here. Again, when Jamie's losing his mind, Judd's the one sitting there being like, come on, man, just calm down. Just calm down. And he's even doing it a little bit to Steph when he's like, Steph, like, you know, with the whole food thing, like he is really like kind of a little bit of a voice of reason. And then obviously he gets booted and calls everybody scumbags. And I mean, everybody's reaction to that is still so classic because they're just like, wow. And you know what, though? He gives the Lex Vandenberg, you know, kiss of death. It's nothing personal. He says that before that. But then he takes it so freaking personally. Because it's not personal as long as you're the one doing it. But if you get it done. It's not personal
if you're the one staying.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so like Jamie going home too. I mean, they never tell Judd. Judd's completely shocked when he comes back to tribal. You think, or comes back to the camp, you would think that would wake him up, and it just doesn't. He just doesn't get it still.
No, he doesn't get it at all. But that's the beauty of Judd. It's kind of like Coach going home and Tocantins. Like it was a very Judd episode. Like it was perfect for him.
Yeah, no, exactly. This Jamie episode too, I just want to call out at the beginning of this episode, since we were kind of talking about Judd being the voice of reason, Jamie literally calls out Gary's plan 100% accurately. When he says he voted for Cindy to try to stir stuff up. Jamie.
Yeah, that was true.
Jamie started losing his mind out there, but when Jamie came into the game, I think Jamie had a legitimate threat to win. He just started losing it as it went on. He stopped being the kind of sarcastic, saying that thing. What did he say? He said it about Brianna, where it's like, I like my girls crazy and pretty, and she's neither. Like that at the time was probably more Tyson-y than he is now, where now he's just completely gone crazy. So I think he legitimately had.
Oh, I think you might shut your mic off. How about now? Not hearing you. Keeps coming in and out. Anyways, I had something to say about Jamie, so while you're fixing that up, I'm going to say it. Jamie went crazy. I know that's like the buzzword that we keep going with, but he had a different kind of going crazy than most people on Survivor do. I mean, you have your tribal council explosions, you have people standing up on their stools yelling, you have a Brandon Hance meltdown, but Jamie's going crazy was more of a subtle kind of build. Like like Phil said, he had this, he had these funny quips early on, and then just slowly gets more paranoid, but he's never really yelling at anyone. Like he and Gary kind of go back and forth a bit after one of the vote outs, but on the whole, he's never really screaming. He's just very subtly losing his mind. And I think that's a part of what made him a really interesting character. He's, you back?
Can you hear me?
Hey, there you are.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't understand what happened because I accidentally clicked the microphone button and then I unclicked it and all the bars were coming up for me, but nobody can hear me.
Yeah, I saw the microphone thing cut off and I was like, oh no. But no, you're good. You're all back. I had a thing about Jamie, but you actually hit me right when I finished up, so it was perfect. I just pretty much said that Jamie's going crazy was different than your usual Survivor going crazy because there was no meltdown, there was no screaming. He just slowly imploded on himself, like quietly. Well,
he did also have I think he had the line of the season when he looks at when him and Rafe were playing Guatemala, and he's like, "Please don't vote me out. Please don't vote me out. Please don't vote me out." Whatever. And Rafe says something like kind of like joking, and Jamie goes, "I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm just going to straight up murder you," and just walks away. And I'm like, nowadays they would never put that on TV if somebody's saying that they're going to murder them.
I'm going to straight up murder you. I also love how Rafe said, he's like, yeah, he wanted to go play Guatemala, which is Jamie speak for, he needs to go talk to me. Like,
yeah. And I will say too, this episode, I love that reward challenge because Lydia completely is the reason that they lose. But I love that reward challenge because like the 4 who went were the 4 that you kind of want to go. I mean, I'd probably rather have Rafe go than Steph, but like the 4 of them going like totally works for this season because like you get the dynamic and everybody talking about their families and seeing the video and everything. And like this is one of the best rewards and it's so long. I remember when they used to do these like super long. I wish they'd go back to that.
Yeah,
but
it was great.
It's so long. And like when Gary's daughter comes out and is like, I hope you didn't get hit in the head with a coconut, but if you did, my name's Jamie. And it's just like those types of things. And Gary's just like losing it. It's like, of course he's going to be played up as the hero so much more than Danny because Danny's worried about her dogs. And not that there's a problem with that, but here's Gary looking at his family, just breaking down, crying, can't hold it together at all. And it's like, my God, how can you not feel for this guy a little bit more than the lady who's just worried about her dogs? Like, I'm sorry.
I know. And she even said it. She was like, I mean, I'm sure my family's fine. I'm all about the dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like, I can't believe I'm about to make a Thailand reference, but everyone's like and in Thailand, everyone's sobbing, like watching these videos. And Brian's wife comes out and he's like, yes, very nice.
Yeah, exactly. Which, and then it's really funny, like Judd and Steph and Danny all get to see their loved ones. And then at Final 6, when they come running out, they're still like flipping out and everything. I mean, Rafe still obviously takes it the most. And I feel like Danny really didn't care that much, but Judd's losing his mind and Steph, obviously, I mean, they came down to the bidding war between the two of them. But it was, it's just a fun, I don't know. There's just a lot of fun moments here. The rewards are so in depth. And I know that's how a lot of the older seasons are. I wish the newer ones would get more in depth again.
I think what's cool about this season is it's a really fine balance. It's definitely still an old school season, but there's enough strategy, there's enough twists where it doesn't feel like you're watching season 1. Like there's enough of a middle ground, and I think that's why I'm really liking it. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. It's very interesting, and I'm curious. I might have to do like a rewatch of a lot of these, just because like I remember liking the old seasons at the time, But like I always kind of get cluttered like around like this time with Guatemala and Panama and Cook Islands and Fiji and you know, like that 4-season stretch. I don't really remember it all that well. Cook Islands I probably remember the most just because all of those characters have come back so many times. But like it's tough because like you every time you sit down and you watch a season, you say, "Oh my God, that was so good," except for like a select few. And it's always hard to like put one above the other, but this one's definitely surprising me. And this also, I've never rewatched the finale of this season, so I'm really curious to see how that goes for me.
Yeah, I've never rewatched this season, so it makes you wonder how like what seasons you rewatch and if they get worse.
Yeah, no, and I really haven't had that happen. I think seasons for the most part get better on rewatch. I think Heroes versus Villains post-merge is the only thing that gets worse on rewatch, but the pre-merge is so good it doesn't matter. Yeah, so all of that, and then I just got to throw in for anybody who actually listens, and I'm sure there's a few people, but when Bobby John came in, does he not look like Dirk Diggler? Anybody who gets that reference, I mean, my God, what was he wearing coming in with like the white pants and like the red button down with the like hair like perfectly like fluffed? Like he looked like he was living in the 1970s, and I was expecting him to start breaking out in like Saturday Night Fever or something. I mean, it really looks like Dirk Diggler, and anybody who's seen that movie knows.
The only thing that would have made this season more insane if Bobby John could dance.
Yeah, you know how it is. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And then like him and Jamie, like something that's very underrated here, and I wish they had Ponderosa back then. Him and Jamie are the first two people at Ponderosa.
And at Jamie like kind of laughs and like leans onto his shoulder, so they kiss and make up.
Yeah, I mean they're fine. I mean that's the thing. I think once Jamie gets out of there, he probably eats a little bit and he probably feels better. I mean, he was just so paranoid, and they all said it. He's just lost his damn mind. And
even when he was voted out, he was like, what did he say? He was like, yeah, blindside. Like, that's the way to go out.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, like, came off a little cringy, but I was like, man, he needed to get the heck out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Before he killed someone. And then, yeah, the Gary boot. And I love the Gary calling out Judd for lying here. And I wonder if he did this earlier and it just didn't work. But him calling him out at Tribal might have been too late, but it was such a perfect call out when Judd's sitting there going, I've never lied. I didn't lie to nobody. And Gary's like, well, you don't want to know what's a lie? When you're telling everybody it's on the ground and I go in the woods and you're looking in trees, where did I find it? In a tree.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got caught in a lie. Everyone gets caught in a lie. Everyone's lied in this game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that, like, at this point, they're actually considering getting rid of Lydia before Gary and Danny. Like, Gary and Danny almost pulled this off because Lydia was acting like such a child. And Judd just couldn't stand her.
Yeah, Judd and Lydia, they do not seem like two peas in a pod.
No. Her eating the fish stew was so funny. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's very unintentionally funny.
Yeah, like Dad is like, look how hungry I am. Look at me. And it's like, nobody cares. Yeah, and then, so Gary goes. I mean, I don't know. I really like Gary. I really liked his whole story. But episode 6, I mean, that immunity advantage, that's almost impossible to lose the game with. And Danny almost blew it. And I'm really shocked she almost blew it. Because all you have to do with that advantage is wait until you can't make any more moves and then just pick the person with the most moves left. She did it so early, she seriously almost lost.
She did do it early. And she had the space. It was still hers to lose after she did it. But man, that is such a powerful advantage in that challenge. It got way too close for comfort.
Yeah, I mean, she totally almost blew that. And it was because, like Jeff said, like, wow.
God.
Jeff said that, like, Steph carved out, like, a big piece of land for herself. And, like, I think that got Danny excited, but she jumped it so early.
But at the same time, when it's only Danny and Steph left, Jeff says, okay, you guys got to watch, like, you need to see it through. So there was still, like, 5 tiles to flip, and Danny still won.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I think it was Rafe who was coming in on her. And Danny almost blew it, where if Rafe was, like, one move ahead, I think Rafe would have gotten her. I think it was Rafe. But, like, she did cut it a little close because I don't think she was taking into account everybody else.
Yeah, I do need to relook at that setup. One thing I thought was cool, and some people might not have noticed. So, obviously, that's a challenge where you're not going to watch every single point go through. So, when they speed it up, they move the players with the music. I thought that was so cool, and you really never see anything like that on Survivor.
Yeah, I don't know if we've seen anything like that. And I know, like, this challenge is a fun challenge, but you know why they got rid of it. It's because there's no drama. Once it gets down to the last two, it's so obvious who's going home or who's losing. So, like, you really don't have...
Wasn't that challenge in Borneo? Like, that was an early challenge.
Yeah, I think that's been around for a while. And then it kind of, I mean, obviously now you'll never see that again. But it was around for a while. I mean... I don't know. It's an interesting challenge, but it can only work so far. It works at the beginning, but then it starts to lose its luster. Right. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, and then this is also the same episode where, like, Danny starts looking for the cracks here. And, like, I love how, like, everybody here is playing it like it's so nice. They're just going to get rid of Lydia if Danny wins immunity. If Danny loses, they'll get rid of Danny. And what the freaking Jeff. Yeah, I'm dropping bombs. Because I went to say Judd while I said freaking Judd. So it's kind of Judd's fault here. But Judd says it's probably Steph farting again when somebody starts talking about the freaking beans or whatever. Something smells like eggs in the morning or something. It's like one of the funniest, stupidest lines where, like, they're all sitting up there and, like, they're just acting like they're so friendly. And it's like, wow, something smells like eggs. I swear. I think it was Lydia. She's like, I had a dream. I swear I smelled eggs and bacon. And Judd is like, it's probably Steph farting again. And, like, they just show that whole scene. And it's, like, a solid, like, minute of just that. And he says it a couple times.
Steph's farting, man. It's hilarious. The whole episode, like we said, it's such a Judd episode. It opens up with Danny being like, all right, it's just me. I gotta weasel my way in. And they cut to, this is how Danny weasels her way in. She has a cartwheel contest with them. And who does the best cartwheel? It's Judd. He does the most majestic, graceful cartwheel I've ever seen. Who would have thought that Judd could do a cartwheel like that?
Yo, I know. It's amazing. Like, and like Danny's got like the hand movements down and everything. Like she knows how to do like the poses because I'm sure she's like that. But like Judd's cartwheel was better than Danny's. Judd's cartwheel was incredible. He's nimble.
Majestic.
He's nimble, you know? That's what happens.
What a guy. Multi-talented.
There you go. Yeah, so there's Judd, and then Judd gets booted, loses his damn mind. Really thought Lydia was going home. I mean, he thought he had it in the bag. And Survivor editors really set him up for the loss here when they're going, and he was like, hey, as long as it ain't me, I don't care. This is fun. This is whatever. And I'm just like, there we go. There's like the kiss.
And there he is.
I haven't seen those in a while, you know. Here they come out to play.
They also, this is just another Judd moment. I think this was Gary's boot episode, so episode 11. They're talking, or Jeff's talking about the immunity challenge where he tells them that Mayan legend and they have to go run around and find the clues.
I missed those.
Those are awesome. And it's a puzzle just to get the question. I freaking love those. Anyways, Jeff goes, all right, guys, to win this immunity, you need smarts. And it cuts to Judd and he's like half asleep. Like he's like already zoning out. Yeah. Very subtle. I like that.
Yeah, no, and I love those challenges. Those are fun. And I mean, that came down to the wire with Gary and Rafe. Neither one got anything wrong. It was just Gary was a little bit slower. But like that was the difference between him winning and losing. You know, he could have made it to final 6, and who knows what happens at final 6, because whoever goes at 7, I mean, this game's just, it's a mess. I mean, they're dwindling in numbers, and they probably wouldn't have booted Danny. Probably would have gotten rid of Lydia. As crazy as that seems. Yeah.
I don't know. Danny finds a way to sneak her way in.
Yeah, Danny just made – you know what it is? Danny made friends with everybody without being threatening. Gary started to become threatening to them. They started – like, even though Steph loved Gary, like, she could tell, like, Gary's going to win this. I can't let him stay around. Nobody realized that with Danny. She was more subtle.
No. And in just 3 episodes, you turn around and all of a sudden we're getting a lot of Danny, and we're getting a lot of her, and we like her. And it was so quick. And now we complain about that. So it's funny how – I don't know. It probably depends on the player, but we get a lot of Danny really quickly.
Yeah, we do. We do. So, I mean, going into the final 3 episodes of the season, I mean, it's really only 2 episodes and then the reunion. But going into those final episodes here, I mean, you know, we're down to final 5. We made it. We just powered through this season, as Alexa yawns because she can't power through this podcast.
Love this season.
Love it. No, I know, right? Like, so we have Cindy, Rafe. At this point, like, you know, Cindy and Lydia aren't going to win. You still, like, I remember watching this being like Steph or Rafe is going to win.
I thought Steph pulled it out.
Because, well, they had to play her up as still a hero. I mean, Steph is pretty brutal this season, but they're always playing her up as a hero.
To be fair, Steph brought Cindy back coffee.
She did bring Cindy back coffee, which seems like it was the biggest deal ever.
I wrote that down, and I was like, I wrote, Stephanie isn't that evil. She gave coffee to Cindy.
Yeah. And that's like all Cindy ever wanted in her life.
I know. Cindy is like, she's so cute. I mean, she's just there to play.
Her and Mindy, though, I mean, what was it? Oh,
Cindy
I wrote down
Mindy.
that.
Who named their daughters, Cindy and Mindy?
They're twin daughters. Like, hey, let's torture the poor kids.
Let's ruin our kids' lives.
Mindy, okay, well, first, just because the Judd line is right above it, Judd says about his wife, she thinks I'm a sexy camper. Yeah. And then Judd also calls himself Uncle Judd. And then Mindy says, playing wilderness people was our favorite thing. That's a literal line from Survivor.
Wilderness people.
Wilderness people.
You know what? She did pretty well for herself.
I'm just saying. You know, I just had to draw attention to that. That's
was
a
our
hell of a
favorite
line.
thing. That's a good line. That's almost as good as I like them pretty and I like them smart.
No, I like them
pretty
crazy.
Dumb. Crazy.
Alexa, don't give Jamie credit where credit's not due.
I know. I was like, wait, he doesn't like smart girls. I shouldn't have said that. All right, moving on.
All right. Well, let's jump into some comments here, some questions. I mean, once you get down to like this point, we don't need to go moment by moment. Everybody knows where we're at this point. So let's jump into some comments. I'll go over to Twitter, and Jacob Kaufman says, once Gary's gone, who's your favorite player to watch on Guatemala? And I got to say it's Rafe. I mean, I got to say it's Judd, and then Judd goes home. So really at this point it's Rafe. But I think that's the tough part about this season is like by the time you get the final five, if you didn't already have the invested interest in Steph, you're really only rooting for Rafe, and I don't feel like you're rooting as hard for Rafe as like you want to be rooting for it.
See, I picked Danny just because she's still the underdog, but you all of a sudden like you're kind of reminded that she's there, and it's quick. It's not like we don't want it like Danny. Like everyone gets behind her, so I'm going with Danny on mine.
Well, you would. You're a front runner, and you know that's why you're a Patriots fan because you only pick teams that win. But that's cool.
Well, the Patriots are not underdogs in their
ever. Yeah, but you know Danny's going to win. At the first time you watched it, well, that's true. You didn't watch it live. That's right.
Well, I watched it because you shoved me in a basement and made me watch all first 20 seasons in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that you didn't watch it live because I was going to say when you were watching it live, I think after Gary went, everyone was rooting for Rafe. There were some Steph fans who were still out there, but like at that point, pretty much everybody turned and just said, it's got to be Rafe.
I also, on top of this, I hope none of my coworkers are listening, Guatemala was the one season where I would kind of in and out have to watch at work, and I think I couldn't give it my full attention, so I'd tune in and be like, oh, Danny, she's the one who won. Okay. Yeah. And then just go back.
Yeah. Jacob Kaufman. Sorry, Alexa. I know you want to switch them up here and everything, but Jacob Kaufman, if you could have two contestants back from this season for a new one, who would they be? I would say probably Gary. There's a lot that I would like to see again, but Gary would be my number one. And then if it was an all-winners season, I would want to see Danny, but I wouldn't want to see her on a season like Game Changers. Otherwise, I would probably have
to. She doesn't deserve that.
I would probably have to say Judd, because I feel like Judd is like a little bit older, maybe a little bit wiser, a little bit. I mean, he's still probably loud and everything, but like I feel like Judd could really do well. Like I really do. I know he's loud, but I think Judd could do well because I think he is probably a little bit more level-headed now.
Yeah, I'd like to see Judd because I think he'd be funny. I don't know how much more level-headed he'd be. I'd like to see Judd just for my TV. I would like to see Rafe because I'd like to see how he does on a more normal season. And I'd also really like to see Brian because we lose him so early. And I think he was decently ahead of his time. And I think he would do very well in a recent season where it's really fast-paced.
Yeah. No, and I think there's a lot of characters from this season that you want to see play again because you have such a large pool to pull from. Because we can literally pull any of these 18, so 16, if you get rid of Bobby, John, and Steph, you can pull any of these 16 people and say, okay, I want to see them play this time. And I think that's interesting. Put them on a season with all returnees. These are 16 people who never got to play just by themselves which was the first time in Survivor history that happened, where they were not playing on an all newbie or an all returnee season. So, you'll never see them play on an all newbie season, but it would be interesting to see them play like with other real players, as opposed to just kind of being like, oh God, what are Bobby, John, and Steph going to do?
And I think a lot of people from Guatemala, if they ever were to return, would do really well, because it's like the forgotten season. Like, none of them have come back yet. And this kind of segues into the next comment. Tyler Bellmeyer, how well would Danny do on an all-winner season? I think Danny would do really well on an all-winner season, because she's subtle, because she's good in challenges, because she's well-liked. But I think a lot of people kind of forget about her. A lot of people forget about the Guatemala cast.
Yeah, and I think she'd play probably very similar. If you're just going to go by somebody recent, it would be very similar to Sierra Dawn Thomas, where Sierra Dawn Thomas, but she would be able to play quieter because she doesn't have anything to prove. So she'd come out there, she's athletic, she's smart, and she can just play her way through this game without anything really having to prove, so she wouldn't have to make these crazy moves. And I think she'd play really well. I think she'd make it really far. She might piss off the editors again, because I don't think she'd make any too crazy of moves. I think she'd play still a pretty old school game, but who cares if you win?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing about an all-winner season. You've already won.
Yeah, exactly. So we two things here from Ice X. I certainly didn't remember Rafe being such a challenge beast. I certainly didn't either.
It sounds like Rafe did, and didn't realize he was a challenge beast.
Exactly. And then Ice X asked, do you have any more Game Changers interviews lined up? We don't. We tried. It just seemed like there wasn't as much excitement after this season as there was Millennials versus Gen X. I think they were all exhausted. We're into the summer. Who knows what maybe will happen next year for maybe some of the predictions episodes and stuff. Maybe we get something during Panama. I don't know. But right now it's just not.
To be determined.
TBD.
TBD. Gamer Girl, fun fact, I've never seen the Gary Boot episode till now because it originally aired on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's brutal.
That's a very fun fact.
That's brutal because that probably ruined my dad's Thanksgiving.
I was about to say, that's a really important episode on the day where every single television in America is turned to football.
Yeah, right? I wonder if the Cowboys won that day, considering Gary played for the Cowboys.
Yeah, they probably did. I don't know. Someone look that up. When was it? 2005 it aired?
I think it was 2005.
Yeah. I know. How funny would that be? I remember Thanksgiving, they'd always have that recap episode.
They stopped doing it around this time, though. This is when they stopped doing it, and they would still maybe have it. They didn't always have it. They were kind of mixing it up a bit. I wonder when the last one they did was. Probably China.
Yeah, we'll have someone tell us.
Yeah, exactly. We don't fact check.
We don't know anything, but you guys do. So you keep us honest.
Yeah. Where was I at, Alexa? Where was I at?
I can
Gamer
catch
Girl,
up.
was Jamie so paranoid that he didn't even know that his team lost the mud challenge? It's another moment where Jamie's screaming, "Let's finish, we're not quitters." And I love when Cindy's like, "We lost. Like, what is wrong with you?" Like they're just getting so angry at him.
I'm glad she fought back, because if someone was like harassing me because I wasn't finishing the challenge after I haven't eaten for 30 days, I'd be like, you know what, Jamie, screw you too.
Alexa, you're such a pushover. Don't act like you would stand up for yourself.
I'm not a pushover.
Yeah, did you hear how she just defended herself? That's
Stop, Phil. I'm not a pushover.
Oh my God! Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay, Giovanni Oriana. Who would Judd call a scumbag from these recent seasons? And the answer is anyone who votes for him.
There you go, Alexa. You took the words out of my mouth. Giovanni Oriana, who's the Jamie that sucks? Guatemala or China?
She tried.
I wouldn't say either of them suck.
Yeah,
I would just say
bold.
I definitely like Jamie from Guatemala more than Jamie from China, because Jamie from China was like PG's henchman, and like Jamie from China, I do not like Jamie from China very much.
Wow. Okay, I did not expect this much of a reaction. I don't mind her so
China,
much.
and I think Jamie's one of the reasons that China is so good, but Jamie in China she's something. That's all. She's something.
You're not giving anything. You're saying
she has so many weird moments in that season with like the stick. She has like a couple moments at Tribal that I don't remember perfectly, but like And then, like, she also has, like, the obviously annoying moment where she gets rid of Aaron, which is actually a good strategic play. But I always felt like she was, like, Jamie's or PG's henchman. I don't know. I was not a fan.
See, I thought she's kind of the leader. I think PG's her number 2. I mean, I don't know if I go so far to say as I like her, but she knew. I mean, she was working pretty hard. She was playing.
Not only that, though,
you just don't like her.
She married Eric, and I think Eric ended up on the box for China, which blows my mind. Probably because he got married to Jamie. God, I hate them. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually hate them that much.
Wow.
I don't hate them.
I have never seen like so weird of a reaction with so little explanation.
You know what it is? It's just I just know that every time I've watched China, I've been like, man, I can't wait for Jamie to go home.
Wow.
I know. I don't know.
I don't know. You're also very anti-Andrea. I don't know if it's what it is.
Not anymore. I liked her this seson. I hated her.
Yeah, well, she saved you.
She did. She saved me. She kept me around.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Larry Miller.
We have Larry.
That was my turn. Can you get Jed Sargent on the podcast to talk about his damn season, man? That would be pretty awesome. Everyone tweet at him.
That'd be hilarious. We'd have to. Yeah, thanks for. That's a tweet at him. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Is he still active? I don't really know too much. I don't know too much about Judd since he's off the season.
Super active, but he made his Twitter pretty recently, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it. He only has 583 followers, and he says his little tagline is "Everything happens for a reason, man."
Isn't the man all caps too?
Yeah, it is.
What a guy.
I don't know. We'll see. He would be a hoot.
That would be so awesome.
Gamer Girl, do you think that no matter who got the advantage to the chess challenge, as I'm calling it, would have won that challenge? It'd be really hard to lose with it.
I don't know. I think we're overestimating a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. Well, Danny almost blew it. Danny almost blew it, and I think a lot of people could almost blow it.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, is Jamie the first person to say the word blindside on Survivor? My initial reaction is no, but I have nothing. I have nothing to back it up.
Wow, it's like me trying to say why I didn't like Jamie.
I just don't like her. I just don't know. I think someone said blindside.
Yeah, I feel like
I could go as early as like Lex could have said the word blindside.
Like on accident. Well, he was talking about slitting people's throats, so I don't know.
That's not a blindside. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, should players be allowed to pool money again? I like it. I mean, why not? If you're splitting the food and everything, I just want to know if they only got 20s. How did Danny and Rafe split 180? That's all I want to know.
I know. And someone bid 130 at one point, I think.
Guys, you don't know how to play.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I have no problem with pulling money. It's kind of like bringing back the reward. Like, when did they not let you bring rewards back to camp and like give people chicken bones and stuff? Like,
they started to stop doing it. I mean,
I kind of like that, and especially this is a Vanuatu classic when they're like, here's some chicken bones. This is all we could have brought back, but it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. I missed
the chicken bones.
The sucky thing was the best one ever. I forget what season that is when he brings back the sucky. Here, you can all take a little lick of this, whatever the hell it is. I forget what it is.
Oh, okay. Giovanni Oriana, what's Rafe's best move so far?
It's a hard question because you know what? Rafe doesn't make any huge moves up to this point.
No. One Rafe thing I noticed, I'm not saying this is his best move, but I just thought this was interesting. When either before or after Jamie said, I'll murder you, he proposes a final 3 with Rafe. And Rafe pretty much straight up says, I can't commit to that right now. And if that was said on a recent season, Rafe would be gone. Yeah,
it's what happened with Malcolm and Denise. Well, it's actually why Rafe goes home. Penner, yeah. It's why Rafe goes home, because he just says to Danny, like, you don't have to do it anymore. He tries to be too nice of a guy. Really, Rafe just plays a consistent game. He doesn't do anything too crazy or too flashy ever. He just plays a really consistent game throughout.
Yeah.
So all those relationships.
That was his best move.
Yeah. Larry Miller, should Lydia quit the game or stay? I mean, stay. She has no reason to quit.
Did she want to quit?
I don't think so. Hang on, I'm getting my charger.
All right. Well, go get your charger. Oh, well, I'll go next. Ice X, if Gary had won that very close immunity challenge, what do you think his chances were for the rest of the season? I mean, I think no matter what, he's just got to keep winning immunities. I think he wins that immunity and he's in trouble the next vote.
I think he would have been okay, though, because I don't think Danny would have ever voted.
Oh, I lost you. Lost you.
Did my mic go out again?
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Okay, you can hear me this time. Good. I think he might have been okay this time because Danny would have never voted for him. And if he makes the final 6, I think he has a better chance to pull Rafe or maybe Judd. I think he has a good chance to maybe get rid of Lydia. Plus, as it starts getting down to numbers, it starts becoming easier to win. But I don't think he would have had to win out. He probably would have definitely had to win final 3, though.
Uh-huh.
And then Ice X, I would have loved seeing Cindy and her twin on either Blood vs. Water season. I mean, that was definitely something they were talking about, right? So
Cindy and Mindy.
Cindy and Mindy. God, that would have gotten so annoying. They sound exactly the same. Like, I know, like, Nadia and Natalie have the accent, which makes them sound similar, but they actually don't. You can tell which one is talking most of the time. With Cindy and Mindy, I was like, is that Cindy? Like, they sound exactly 100% the same.
Yeah. Or is it Mindy? I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, should we go over to YouTube?
We should. Survivor Iceland. I agree with Phil that this is the least powerful rendition of the Idol ever played. It's far from a super idol. Sure, it did save Gary, but at the same time, it just shifted the target to his 2 allies. Also, Bobby John didn't go to Judd and Jamie to get Steph because he knew he did not have the numbers. He wanted insurances. That he was to save this vote, and he went up to talk more with Judd than Jamie. Judd basically told Dalton Ross and I think Jenna Maraska that he and Bobby John got along great in the original Nakoon. There's a lot more to that comment, but it's super long. But that's like, I think that's a pretty good broad stroke. That's kind of funny. Like Dalton Ross was doing Survivor Live with Jenna Maraska at this point. And then Danny.
I know. How crazy is that?
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, right?
But I said that once and I'll say it again. That's the worst. I think that's the worst rendition of the Idol by far. So.
Laura Stewart. I found it interesting you guys comparing Guatemala to Panama because I see a lot of parallels between Guatemala and Gabon. Phil, your favorite season. A tribe of reasonably likable characters who go out early and a tribe of brilliant characters who are all terrible people who can't win the game. Makes me wonder if this is a common byproduct of seasons which are based around characters. Bob and Danny are both winners where you can't really explain their win as anything other than they were more likable with the rest of the people with them at the end, although Danny is certainly more strategic than Bob. My first thing I noticed is the terrible characters in Gabon. I wouldn't go so far as to call them brilliant.
I don't know. They're all really smart people. Even Corinne is a really smart person.
Crystal?
Well, Crystal, I mean, Crystal, no, but everybody else I would say is very smart. Randy, definitely a smart guy. Like, Randy's a smart guy. He just, you're talking like maybe Marcus,
I hung up on the. No, but she's not referencing that. She's referencing the terrible players.
Marcus was hard. Marcus was a.
I'm just saying. I think brilliant is a little bit of an exaggeration.
Well, they're not really brilliant on this season either. I mean, I know like one person. I know Brian was in Harvard and all that, but they're not really brilliant here either.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. I love Gabon. I still like Gabon more than this season for sure. But it's going to be interesting watching Panama next because Guatemala and Panama are definitely the 2 seasons that I forget the most. Even after I watch them, I feel like it just vanishes from my brain. So we'll see how this goes.
For me, it'll be interesting to watch Panama because that's one of my favorite seasons. So now I'm curious if I overanalyze it, if I'm going to suddenly not like it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you won't. Overanalyzing ruins everything, huh?
Sure does.
Boring and bland. Oh my God, Gary, Steph, Survivor Guatemala, the Mayan Empire. Thank you for that.
You do her pretty well.
From there. Ryan Chan, I would love to have Jamie come back in a returning season. My idea is that he would be on the same tribe as Dreams, Chase, Ty, Abby, Lil, Sugar, and Dawn.
Oh, man.
You would have a tribe that would have the most paranoid and emotional castaways and need contestant reassurance and coddling along with castaways who constantly change their minds. It would be pretty entertaining, even if it is a strategical train wreck.
I would love that.
That would be great, except, like, you would probably get down to the point where, like, you had to root for one of them, and it would just drive you nuts.
Yeah. There it is. Santa. All right. Is this worth it?
They're all so long, Ryan Chan. Why you got to do this to us?
I know, yeah. Ryan Chan, a couple random thoughts for the next couple episodes you guys are going to do. Want to know people love Probe's commentary, but there have been several times where his challenge commentary has really interfered with the challenge. It starts with Guatemala in the final 6 immunity challenge. Probe said, where did the rest of the
We
comment
talked about that.
Yeah, we already did. So I can't find the rest of the comment, but
you have to hit read more.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Probst said out loud that Stephanie has a lot of space. Yeah, that's a good point. Probst did pretty much just like tell Danny, hey, you should probably use your thing now.
Yeah, no, I know. And that could also be edited that way to make Jeff look like he's smart. So who knows?
Yeah, need some heavy editing.
Ryan Chen says, I was watching Survivor Live. Dalton Ross and Jenna Maraska would interview them. When Guatemala was airing, they would have time for people to call in and talk with the contestants. Judd's episode was so tense. One of the callers was an elderly lady asking Judd if he should have changed his personality or his interaction with people. Judd was yelling back at the lady, asking her, what's wrong with my personality? There's nothing wrong with my personality. Poor woman was trying to answer back, but Judd would just keep shouting over her. It was like watching Judd versus Margaret Tribal Council, but in real time. Also, I learned that episode that Judd pulled a Michaela when he got voted off. He was so angry he forgot to take his torch and his belongings with him. It's amazing.
Wow, that is incredible.
I love it.
That is absolutely I completely buy it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Him and Michaela are very similar.
Yeah, that's true. They are. Vladimir, I was so surprised to see how others let Danny buy an advantage for only $200, man, and gifted her a win in the final 6. She would have gone home that night. It was obvious that Stephanie was hesitant if she should raise the price and let it go and hope that there's more food coming. In the modern auctions, the advantages were for $500 right off the bat. Great bargain for Danny. No one wanted to take a sacrifice of their money for the group.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is great.
Yeah, it's kind of like Judd and Cindy during the challenge where they could participate or feast. They're like, guys, like, I need a little backup here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's crazy. Like, yeah, people – that's the problem when these groups aren't really tight. Like – they don't like each other enough to be like, I'll be the one who spends the $300 to make sure they don't get it. Like, none of them want to be that guy because they don't respect the other people enough. As you see what happens at Final 5.
Right.
Which we'll talk about next week.
Next week.
On Survivor Guatemala Rewatch.
Oh.
So we have Gamer Girl, my other nickname for the spinning rope ribbon challenge, Disney Teacup Challenge, because it involved people getting dizzy. I guess. I don't know. I wonder if they had the names. I know, like, when we saw John Kierhofer, he said, like, the name is the most important thing. They love the name. I wonder if that's, like, still – I wonder, like, what the names of some of these were.
They should advertise the names more.
I know. They never do.
Yeah, no one knows what the names are. Like, not no one. But you have to, like – yeah. Like, they should – I feel like they could definitely, like Last Breath. Or what is it? Last Breath or Last Gasp? No,
yeah, I think it might be Last Gasp.
Yeah, like, I didn't know that was the name until someone was referencing it, and I, like, put 2 and 2 together. Like, I would love it if they made the names more clear.
Yeah, they do the behind-the-scenes stuff sometimes. It's the only way you see it.
Yeah. David Latch, when will this be available on iTunes?
We totally forgot. Alexa's like, computer doesn't understand how to do it for some reason. And then
it did it when you were in France. Like, it comes through in the clutch, but now that it knows you're back in the US, it just doesn't understand how to download MP3s.
We'll put it up there once people start watching again. My God, where is everybody?
600 views, guys. Come on.
Just because it's July now doesn't mean you guys don't want to watch Survivor stuff. I guess that's the hard part.
Are you guys seriously going to go spend time outside instead of sit inside and listen to us? I don't think so.
So I guess that's the hard part. We're watching 3 episodes at a time and then doing it every week. I mean, I'm exhausted watching it. I have to take like 3 hours out of a day to do this. So
yeah, I always do it the night before because I know I'll forget otherwise.
I can't do it the night before. You know, last night was 4th of July. Like, go have a life, Alexa.
Yeah, certainly not.
Little sports guy, do you think Danny is more overrated or Brian Corden is more underrated? Brian is more underrated because Danny's not overrated at all.
You took the words right out of my mouth. She's certainly not overrated, and no one knows who Brian is. So, completely agree with you.
Go ahead.
Thoughts on the fact that Jonathan and Wanda were considered for Guatemala? I was just on the Survivor Guatemala wiki. Jonathan and Wanda were considered, and Scoopin was also considered. So that's a weird one.
I wouldn't have minded the Scoopin thing because, like, you know, he'd been medevaced. The Jonathan and Wanda thing would have been weird because it would have been like, then why didn't you just give them more of a chance in Palau?
Yeah, exactly. And we don't even know what we're getting with them. Like, with Stephanie, at least, like, you know, you're getting, like, good TV with her. Jonathan and Wanda, like, what do we know about them?
People straight up told Jonathan they didn't pick him because he didn't make any relationships with them.
Yeah. And Wanda was singing a lot.
Yeah. Chris, has anyone seen the Rainbow Bagel video on Facebook that recently went viral? I'm pretty sure the doorman in that video is Judd from Survivor Guatemala. You should try and find it if you hadn't seen it to confirm. Wow, we need to find that.
I gotta find. Yeah, someone send that to us. Someone tweet that at us.
Yeah.
Wow, it probably is him. And then Akum 6 more like the core 4 of Seinfeld. Jamie is like, why do we keep with the Seinfeld references?
Giovanni can't stop.
They aren't. No, I cannot even finish this because I just don't.
Not even a little. I mean, they're all
okay.
because Rafe isn't a bad person, and Jamie is not Kramer because Jamie's so bitter. Judd and George.
And Stephanie is nothing like Elaine. She's just a girl.
I don't know. They're both pretty sassy.
Giovanni, I'm skipping this one. Fun fact: Judd has said "man" over 300 times in the season. That I could buy.
Yeah, I believe that. Gamer Girl, here are my thoughts on Guatemala's love visit. I like that all the loved ones got confessionals. I didn't like they used the auction as a loved ones challenge. I didn't like the people who didn't get their loved ones had to go to a different camp. Mixed on the loved ones as a whole. Is it the first time the loved ones had a confessional? I don't think it's the first time they've all had a confessional. I don't really know. But I was a little weird on everybody having to go back to a different camp, too. It just kind of felt harsh.
Exile Island.
Pretty much. Hey, they were really trying it with 10 and 11, and then it finally happens in 12.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, again, I like this version of the coconut drop. I liked that it was the Mayan trivia and not let's get to know the people that are left. Maybe if Survivor brings back the coconut drop, they could do Survivor trivia. Maybe.
They always should have done that on a fans versus favorites season. It would have made it so much better.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Reward the people for actually being favorites.
Oh, yeah. You can't answer questions about the fans.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, fun fact, Cindy's sister Mindy was on a TV show once, and it wasn't Survivor. Interesting.
Just going to leave us hanging? What show is it?
You'll have to find out next week. Args 13, why did Guatemala have to leave with Jamie? Why couldn't Ray find someone else to play Guatemala with?
Important question.
We're asking the hard ones here.
Yeah. Giovanni, again, Guatemala is Gabon done right. I really don't like Gabon so much. Yeah, Giovanni, I saw you in the live chat. I know you don't like Gabon. People are really black and white on it. You're never no one's ever going to be able to change people's minds. You either love it or you don't.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, what does Will think about Guatemala? He loves Guatemala.
Yeah, he was the one who was yelling at us for putting it so low.
Will was yelling? No.
No, he's actually very reasonably and calmly telling us that we should watch it.
Yeah. What's next?
Who would be a better drinking buddy, Judd or Brett? And the answer is Brett, because Judd would probably steal your beers.
They'd be great. Both of them would be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even want to pick. I'd just go with both.
Yeah, true.
Giovanni, can you get Stephanie on the podcast since you know her, Phil? I do not know her. I know somebody who knows her. I don't know her.
Phil and Stephanie are personal friends.
We hang out all the time. Me and Kyle Kendrick used to hang out. And then he married Steph. And
big time Phillies fan. Tampa John, in 2005, the Cowboys lost in overtime to the Broncos 24-21. Wow, that's Gary goes home in similar fashion.
Damn, that's brutal.
That's pretty crazy.
That's brutal. Probably a happy day for most of America, though, since the Broncos won.
Yeah, or you mean the Cowboys lost?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Gamer Girl, Phil, Danny's nothing like Sally. Sally's forgettable and didn't win. Danny's more like your Michelle. Oh, no. Danny's not like Michelle because she's not Michelle.
No one is Michelle.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Sally's all that forgettable. I think Sally's like forgotten now because it has been 22 seasons. But like Sally wasn't like that forgettable, and she's also like very integral and probably one of the best moments of that season, which is the four guys having to go to their tribal council while Sally goes to exile. That's like one of my favorite moments of that season, and she's very integral in that happening. I don't think she's super forgettable. It's just like, she's there. Yeah,
she's there, and then she happens. So I get I'm with you on the comparison. I get it.
Is that it? Wait, we might have one more over here. I
just did a refresh.
We have Brooks Hammett. Here's the Judd sighting video. He's still a dormant. So there you go. So there's going to be a Judd video that we can all watch together.
I couldn't find it on the refresh, so I'll look it up after.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Wait, how? It's a 7-minute video. Can somebody tell me where it's at?
We're going to sit here and watch Phil watch a video for 7 minutes.
Is that him? I think that was him. Is that like 40 seconds?
Send it to me.
Nah, you'll find it.
I can find the internet.
He's wearing like a full head thing. Totally makes sense. That's how Jeb would be dressed, though. That's crazy that he's still a doorman. That's wild.
I gotta find him. He's gotta be in New York doorman.
Yeah, you gotta go find him. Go look at the structure of the building. I'm sure you'll find him.
Yeah, I gotta go find him.
That's it, Alexa. That's it. That's it,
Phil. Did that in like just a little over an hour.
We'll actually put both of these on the damn iTunes for everybody.
Yes.
But tell your friends, tell your kids, tell your wives, tell your husbands to watch us. I mean, what happened?
Don't tell your boyfriend of 7 years because Phil wouldn't pick you for the reward challenge.
Nah, so don't pick him. But yeah, you know, we just like, I mean, these are fun anyway. We knew that the views would be down because just how the hell do you expect people to watch so much Survivor? But they're here for you at all times now. This is one that never goes out of style.
Yeah, and don't worry, you have 2 people who are more than happy to sit at home every night for an hour and blab about season 11.
Yeah, because we're the best.
Yeah. So in the meantime, leave a comment on this video. We're going to be watching the episode 12 and then the finale and the reunion next week. So should be some good stuff. In the meantime, leave us a comment on this video. Listen to us on iTunes because we'll actually get it up this time. Tweet at us at the Survivor Specialist. And we'll be in touch next week.
We'll see you Wednesday. I think it'll be Wednesday. You can do Wednesday, right? I just said that.
Yeah, Wednesdays. I'm down for Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.